Don't leave me hanging. It's go time.
Hey everybody, this is Josh. Welcome back to another magnificent game of StarCraft 2. Here we have Evil Genius's IDrA as the blue Zerg up in the far top left corner of Shakuras Plateau. His opponent here in Game 3 of this Best of 3 series is EG.IdrA, actually Quantic Gaming.Agh now, since LG or Lazarus Gaming basically no longer exists. Basically, a lot of the players who were on it dispersed into a couple of different teams. Quantic Gaming NRS, which stands for Neurosoft. It's actually a Romanian team that Ranged and Response joined. Or we have Pain User, who I actually work with now at IGN.com, the IGN esports division. We do the IPL, IGN Pro League. You may have heard of it. Taylor does a lot of casting for that. I'm actually their marketing guy. Don't do any casting for them, but I would if they needed me. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Pain User just used to be on Lazarus Gaming with AGH, but I'm probably going to say it AGH, AGH. No, actually I've never called him AGH. Why would I say that? But a lot of people at MLG call him that because they don't know how to say AGH, and neither do I. It could be AGH, it could be AGH. The point is this. Game 3 in a best of 3 series, AGH actually won that last game on Shattered Temple because he had enough time to expand and get up the proper tech. He had Colossi in the mix toward the end of that last game, and a lot of sentries there for support. IDrA made the mistake of switching away from Corruptors towards Infestors, did not have enough Infestors to hold all the Blinkstalkers in place and things like that, so AGH came away with a win. But Game 3, anything could happen here. IDrA most likely going to be sticking to his sort of 15 pool, 20 hatch that we've been seeing, since Protoss opponents can just drop a pylon, and you basically need Zerglings to kill it off in time to build a hatch of 15. IDrA just doesn't even mess with it, he just waits till about 20, and usually the probe is gone by then, or the pylon's there ready to be killed. So depends on AGH whether he actually wants to drop that pylon. In the first 2 games he did not do such a thing, so I don't expect him to do that here either. IDra's going to send that drone regardless. He is actually at around 300 minerals, but now that no, AGH, how did you let that happen? Oh, that drone just went for the kill, man. He dropped that hatch at 16. That's got to be a little bit embarrassing, since AGH could have prevented that very easily just by dancing around a little bit better instead of leaving that wide open spot. But either way, IDrA gathering gas now. Once he gets up to 100, I'm sure he will stop. He's only got, what, 1 drone on there right now. It'll be a slow and steady trip to 100 gas, but eventually he'll have enough for that Zergling speed. AGH's still just checking things out. Obviously, his time here with this probe is basically over, as Lings are starting to come out now, and they will be able to catch that probe and kill it if he doesn't get out of there right away. AGH, on the other hand, doing something a little bit unusual. Not unusual, just not 100%, standard build order here, doing that Nexus very fast, forge fast expand with a cannon already placed. He can build basically any number of buildings here and plug it with a building or a unit. Zealot or Stalker would do the job as well, depending on what he builds. What are you going to build? There's the Cybernetics core, so he is going for the full wall-off. Makes me very curious what he's going to be teching towards, but basically his entire base is shut off to IDrA, aside from those snooping overlords. IDrA does have one of them off to the top right here. He'll be able to utilize that a little bit later on and see what AGH is up to. Of course, we get the bird's eye view. We can see everything going on. Back at IDra's base, has he hit 100 gas? Yes, he has, and there goes that drone, still just harvesting away. He doesn't actually have the minerals right now to get that metabolic boost started. IDra's actually taken a second expansion very quickly into this game after seeing that AGH has taken a Nexus pretty quickly for himself. Warp Gate tech being chrono boosted out, just 1 cannon, no super fast upgrades or anything like that. AGH basically just taking the time to churn out some probes. He'll be able to tech here relatively soon. IDrA also trying to stay on top of his macro, getting that second expansion up. He's a little bit behind on harvesters, but that's what happens when you have 2 sets of chrono boosts on workers, and IDrA really only has larva injects to work with. Once that starts to catch up, though, on these 2 hatcheries, he will pass him in drone count. He's making a round of 5 at a time at this point. Yeah, there he goes. Actually, IDrA just passed AGH and probably will hold on to that worker lead for the rest of the game. We'll just have to see how it goes. Creep Tumor's already connecting the 2 bases. Macro Hatch coming quite quickly. He's on 4 hatcheries at 6 minutes into the game. He started hatchery number 4 at 6 minutes into the game. That is really, really fast, and AGH, even though he dropped this Nexus relatively quickly, he's not going to be able to catch up with that unless he happens to take both of those top spawns as well. Couple more gateways being dropped on the ground now. Robotics facility coming up as well, so he can start to make some immortals if he's worried about roaches, or obviously tech up to Colossi, which ultimately ended up winning him that last game on Shattered Temple. So basically I expect to see an Observer, maybe 2, and then Colossi from there on out. So once those gateways are finished, probably going to be seeing a lot of sentries and stalkers. He seems to favor Blink as an upgrade and really likes to make use of his force fields. Pretty micro-intensive strategies overall, not getting charged for zealots or anything like that. No zealot Archon mixture for him. He's just going to go straight up Blink and force fields for the most part. 5 more drones coming out, plus 1 melee attacks again, so I:drA looks like he's sticking with that tried and true build that won him the first game on Metalopolis. Heavy Ling pressure into Infestors, and then basically eyeballing it from there, whether he wants to get some Corruptors or Ultralisks or something like that very quickly. So Twilight Council coming for AGH makes me think Blink is a high possibility once again. Observers already about to pop out here. I:drA just testing that wall, not seeing anything that he wants to see. There's no Void Rays or Phoenixes or anything like that terrorizing his overlords, so he can basically guess a couple of tech routes that AGH might be going. A couple more pylons being dropped. Obviously never want to get supply blocked against an enemy or an opponent as powerful as Evil Genius's I:drA. He does have his third base pretty much fully saturated at this point. 54 drones already. That macro hatch already getting some use there. We see some Lings starting to pop out. Overlords as well. Evolution Chamber still working on that melee attack level 1. The Forge is also churning out that +1 upgrade for the sentries and stalkers and things like that. Wow, look at this. 5 sentries here. He really doesn't want this wall to fall to anything, including a mass roach bust, which is certainly possible. I've seen I:drA do it a number of times against very good Protoss opponents like QxG.Agh in the IGN Pro League, for example. But AGH really has nothing to worry about on that front. He does have the sentries there if that were to be the case, but I:dRA's just taking his time, getting up a bunch of hatcheries, tons and tons of drones. Look at that, 10 more drones in production. Overlord, no, slow Overlord number 2, crossing the middle of AGH's main. He's going to see the robotics bay. Nothing will be sacred here or hidden from Evil Genius's I:drA. There's not enough anti-air really, unless he pulls all those sentries to come kill off this Overlord, so he's just going to get a free sneak peek at a whole bunch of gateways coming down. That's going to put him up to 6 gateways total in a single robotics facility. We saw this in the first game, but it was a lot slower. He never even got that first Colossus up, if you recall, from the first game. But now that his bay is done, he's got tons of money. He could start getting extended thermal lances and a Colossus, but instead is going to be chrono boosting out an Immortal and extended thermal lances, so that's kind of interesting. AGH actually hasn't done a whole lot of scouting yet. He does have this Observer now. It looks like he took a look over here, didn't quite see everything that he could have, but he is well aware because he's parked over the Roaches and the Lings here, so he knows what's coming. Colossus still not in production. Immortal will be done here soon though. Stalkers all warping in now. He's chrono boosting all of his gateways. Looks like he might be the first one to gear up for an attack. Blink is finished, so despite the fact that he has this full wall here, he can get all of his lovely little Blink Stalkers on the other side of that wall. He is actually going to take out his Cybernetics, where he's already rebuilding a new one. Once you get that Warp Gate tech done, you don't really need it that badly. He's just going to rebuild another one anyway, though. Don't want to finish off completely until you're ready to go, though. So now he is going to finish it off. I'll be surprised if he doesn't send an attack wave here very soon as well. 4 Corruptors coming up. So I:drA obviously acting on that information, seeing the Robotics Bay instead of a Dark Shrine or something like that. Getting those 4 Corruptors, that's something that he switched away from on Shattered Temple, where if he had kept with it, perhaps he would have been able to take out those Colossi in the middle of the map and win those engagements. Oh, I:drA finds a rare opportunity here to slink into the main of AGH, and oh, this poor Immortal gets surrounded by all of these +1 Lings and falls incredibly quickly. I'm not even sure if he got a single kill there, maybe 1 kill, but now these probes are starting to take some damage. I do see a couple of them popping left and right. Just 3 or 4 probes actually go down before AGH swoops in to rescue the rest of them. I:drA has to be feeling pretty good, though. He's got a ton of hatcheries already. This is hatchery number 5 going up at that very bottom spawn. He's already got his lair complete. He's got Corruptors in the sky ready for those Colossi, but it looks like AGH actually did a little bit of a fake out. He actually canceled Extended Thermal Lance. He started that research because he knew the Overlord was flying over, and instead has built nothing but Immortals this time. So it looks like I:dRA's still building more Corruptors, getting Flyer Attacks level 1, but AGH has no Colossi. That was actually a really suave mind game if he indeed did plan it this way, for I:dRA to see the Robotics Facility churning out Extended Thermal Lances, see the Chrono Boost on the Robotics Facility, and instead pop out Immortals instead of Colossi. Pretty slick move. How many Corruptors are actually up? That is a lot of Corruptors for nothing to shoot at. All they can really do is spam their green goo, and so these Stalkers will take a little bit of extra damage. The Immortals actually weren't even corrupted there, and they're just blasting through these roaches. 1 kill there, 2 kills on this other one. There goes a corruption on some more stalkers and sentries. The Ling's starting to come in and do some damage now. It looks like that Immortal did get pinned outside of the force field range, unfortunately, but AGH is just cruising through here. I think he will be able to take out this hatchery if he just focuses it down before these force fields actually complete, or dissolve, I should say. And now the roaches are climbing up the ramp. There's still 1 Immortal intact here, blasting away at roaches. Still 3 kills already. All these useless corruptors just floating around. AGH is not reinforcing right now, but he did take out that base, and here's a whole pile of drones that he can start to destroy. About 20 drones just sitting exposed here for all these sentries and stalkers to deal with. Blink is already finished. They have 2-0 upgrades. All these corruptors still sitting useless. There are quite a lot of roaches here, but this Immortal did rack up 5 kills before going down there. Good force field on the ramp. Did AGH even see this creep? Yes, he sees the creep. He could actually go towards that hatchery, but instead he's picking off these valuable overlords. Maybe not hoping to actually supply block IDrA, but actually making him use a lot of those minerals and larvae to replace them is actually going to be very key here. This hatchery is getting destroyed as well by all these 2-0 stalkers. Another Immortal is starting to come out, and AGH is actually taking this time to expand as well at this sort of third. I like to call this the armpit expansion because it's very, very close to your main. All these stalkers just blink down out of this 5th base area, and there's nothing IDrA can do about it. His fighting forces are just way too disjointed right now. He's trying to remax or get back up to that supply cap as fast as he can. IDrA does still have more supply than AGH, but he lost a lot of workers and a lot of mining time there off of those 2 bases. He's going to have to rebuild those hatches. He's actually building one in his own armpit expansion over here. And AGH actually did quite a lot of damage and kept his army more or less intact. Those 2-0 stalkers doing just a ton of damage. A lot of supply right now is tied up in these Lings here for IDrA as well, so if AGH actually does make use of this Robotics Bay at some point and gets a Colossus out, that could actually be very valuable. Look at all these Lings streaming in, warping on the ramp, trying to prevent those Lings from getting in, but instead they take the easy target with the Immortal. Looks like roaches are starting to press the left side here as well, trying to take some free shots at this Nexus. These Lings are just killing off probes left and right. Oh, this looks very bad for AGH. He's a little bit slow to respond, though, with those Zealots. He wanted to protect that 3rd base very badly, but now all those Lings appear to have been cleared up by Zealots. Actually, a couple of Lings remain, but they're not really going to be able to do too much. Another 1 probe, maybe 2 probes. 2 probes actually killed off there before AGH finally finishes up that infestation. Here we go, all these stalkers with their 2-0 upgrades marching across the Xel'Naga Tower area again. IDrA does have 1-0 on his Lings, 1-0 on his roaches, and 1-0 on these useless corruptors. I won't say useless because corruption does actually increase damage taken by 20% if he spams it everywhere, so that could actually be very, very valuable in trying to stop AGH, but AGH really has a lot of units, and Blink just showing its power one more time, getting free shots on all these corruptors and roaches as they flee. All these overlords exposed as well. There's an overseer up here for some reason, but oh my goodness, IDrA just left the game. He did not even GG. He didn't even want to mess with all these Blink Stalkers, even though he had about a 40 supply advantage. He just leaves the game, and LG.Agh, now Quantic Gaming Agh, takes the series 2-1 against a very, very, very strong opponent in Evil Genius's IDrA. Thanks for watching this best of 3 series. I'll be back to casting more StarCraft as often as I can. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you will watch the IGN Pro League, which I've been working on very hard at IGN Esports. So catch up with that at ign.com/IPL, or stick around here on my channel and watch some more casts. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys soon.